Jai Hind, everyone. We have been hearing of the strategic planning at the operation level, a strategic aspect of the relationship between the nations, strategic dialogues, and so many things which are strategic in nature. The mere fact that the subjects which require to be given the highest attention in a particular field, they are taken in that realm. But it is very, very important that the defense forces, that is Army, Navy, Air Force, or anybody in the realm of defense forces functioning, they must develop the nuances and capability of conducting strategic communication, so that the narrative of the defense forces or the national narrative is not missed out. Neither, the narrative of the adversaries, whether they are anti-national elements or the nations not inimical to our interest, they overtake the stage. We are very fortunate today to have Mr. Ajay Banerjee, who is a leading light from Tribune. I have known him for quite some time, and he has personally guided me also in a number of my writings in the initial stages. And I heard him when I went to attend this course for officers, which has been started by the current CDS, which is a rank agnostic course. That is, anybody from major to major attends that. And it is looking at the future direction of as to how the warfare is going to be fought. This was run by USI. It was for a week. Next time it is going to be for 3 weeks, and most probably CENJOWS will be running that. More on that little later. So I heard Ajay in that talking about the strategic communication for the defense forces. It was very, to me, there was a lot of good inputs, and first time I got exposed to those things, but the time there was very short, just to 15 to 20 minutes. So it was very difficult to wrap up such an important subject. So I thought, let me request him, and he has been kind enough to oblige us to give this talk today. Normally we have a format of 45 minutes followed by 15 minutes question and answers, but Ajay, for you, the time is not a constraint.
I'll finish within time.
Okay. So now I'll request Ashika to infuse this pen.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. I'm privileged to introduce our guest for today, Mr. Ajay Banerjee. Mr. Ajay Banerjee is a Delhi-based journalist, presently the deputy editor of the Tribune. He reports on military and strategic affairs. He's a guest commentator on Doordarshan, Sunset TV, and All India Radio. He's also a guest faculty at the Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi. He has written several long-form articles on military issues and extensively on India-China issues. He authored a chapter, War and Conflict in Digital Era, a Dangerous Concoction, for the international journal Springer, and a chapter in the book Heroes of 1971, detailing the capture of Dhaka in 1971. He has also authored a chapter on defense reporting as part of a course book for mass communication students. He has lectured about military and media at several institutions, including the Future Warfare course hosted by IDS in September 2024, the Army War College Mahal, College of Air Warfare Hyderabad, the Center for Land Warfare Studies, Center for Air Power Studies, Western Naval Command Mumbai, Kautilya Institute of Public Policy Hyderabad, and also for the offices of the Government Information Bureau, the PIB. He holds a degree in mass communication from Punjab University, Chandigarh. Welcome to CENJOWS.
Thank you, General Ashok, for having me here. I'll make it brief and concise. And this is what we start off. Side arrow. Okay, done. This is the scope of the presentation. I'll keep it very short and concise. I'll bring you down to this. And why this? The important point is why this? Okay, every presentation we hear, it's very good. Why this? Digital media for the communication of war. I'll give you examples of social media in India and West. Brief analysis of the social media during and after Balakot strikes. It is not a commentary on operations. And also opinion making with satellite imagery experts. And open source intelligence. Messaging. What exactly is it? Okay, before that, I'll show you something which are two examples of the past, which cannot be done today actually. But still these examples are valid because if we don't know history, we will not go forward. This is William Bryden, a British surgeon who reached the gates of Jalalabad, 13th January 1842, after the Anglo-Afghan War. Now, this image or this painting is showing that William Bryden reached alone, which is a fact. The remaining of the British troops, 12,000 were killed out of the 16,000, which had come out of the after the Anglo-Afghan War, reached after many months and years. They were released in batches. So this man on a horse reaches Jalalabad on January 13th, 1842. Now, who is doing strategic communication? The Afghanis, probably that he's the only survivor. So whatever tales you hear about the Anglo-Afghan War, in all books, largely are the eyewitness account of this man. That itne log mar gaye, Afghans did this and that is this man's witness account, which is documented and narrated as a history. Now, who is doing strategic communication? Afghanis? Okay. That the Afghani part ends. One British officer's wife drew this painting in 1870s, 30 years after this incident. Why? Nobody knows. Probably telling the story 30 years later from a stronger point. In 1842, they were at a weak point. 1872, they had gone again into Afghanistan. So the British are telling a story through this painting 30 years later that this happened. This painting is sketched in 1870s, 30 years after this. But this is the picture of a man on whose eyewitness account the entire Anglo-Afghan war narration is based. Now you take a call, who is doing strategic communication? The Afghanis? That only one man survived? No, there were many people who survived, but they came back after many months and years. So who's doing it? You take a call, decide on it. Second example is from 1971. This is the Tangel paratrop, as most of us know. This is actually not the Tangel paratrop. You see this image in all military places, they'll show you this as a Tangel paratrop. The Tangel paratrop happened, but this picture is not a Tangel paratrop. This picture is actually a PSYOPS done. What had happened was that the DMO, it was called the DMO, the region was called the DMO, had tasked that the pictures of this paratrop should be released. Now, as it happens in the military, the coordination was missing and the pictures could not be taken from where the plane took off from to do this paratrop. So there was an ingenious man called Mr. Ramon, then Indian Information Service. And in the MOD, he released this picture, and this picture got published in all papers as the Tangel paratrop. I repeat, the Tangel paratrop happened. This picture is not a Tangel. But this is told as a Tangel paratrop. Abhi Google kar lo ye picture. This is not the Tangel. This was done as a PSYOPS. Two examples of the past. Can these be replicated? No and no. These cannot be replicated. Because in the case of the Afghan war, the satellite imagery will show that this is a false, there are other people. And again, this will be called out as a fake the minute it is put out on Google. It's a fake, it's an old image, it's not a new. Think about it, can this be replicated? No. Now, what comes now after this? The digital era where we live in. Why we live in a digital era? First step, you have to narrow down the thought process into the digital era. These are the numbers, friends. There are 5.35 billion users who are on internet. There are 5 billion users of social media. There are 561 unique mobile phone subscribers. We have a population of 8 billion. Okay? Now you will say, how is it connected to my communication? Friends, it is the communication, mode of communication today. This phone is what you use to do most of your work. The phone or so we'll narrow it down. Why the digital media? These are the numbers. Reuters India report, July 2024. 79% of people are accessing news on the smartphone. So can we miss the smartphone as communicators? Now that news on smartphone could be through social mediums. By social mediums, I mean Twitter handles of people or of social media profiles. Like Trump has announced Tulsi Gabbard as the National Intelligence Chief. How do we know? Because it's on Twitter. Trump ने आके सबको बताया थोड़ा काम में कि भैया मैं ये कर रहा हूँ. No, it's on Twitter before the normal medium. It's not in the newspapers today because newspapers are published at night. The things happen in America later, and they are not there. It's on social media. Now to bring you down, why this? You can see the numbers. 79% of people are using news on the smartphone. This is what is US Army's thought process on social media. This is an official stake that social media is a powerful tool to use to communicate on a daily basis to tell the Army's story. Now you can replicate the Army story or the Indian story or the Forces story or the Navy story or the Air Force story that you can imagine in the world. This is what is happening in the world. This is a Stanford University study on how the US influenced pro-Western covert influence operations. Now, Stanford, a respected university, did this in 2022, and this is what they found. Twitter and Meta removed 2 accounts on platform manipulation scam. They were coordinated in integrated behavior, used tactics to promote US-led narratives in Asia, Middle East, and it says series of covert op campaigns over a year of almost 5 years. This is communication. Series of covert campaigns. Okay, this is about the US doing it to pro-Western covert influence operations. Stanford also did it on our 2022. My heart belongs to Kashmir, an analysis of pro-Indian army covert influence operations on Twitter. Is this communication to be missed? Is it happening? Yes, it is happening. This is what they found. Accounts were suspended for promoting activities of Indian Army in Kashmir. Very good they did it. But this, I believe very good the Indian Army did it. The accounts criticized Pakistan and China. 2 accounts targeted individuals deemed anti-India. We are not able to, please note the not is in caps, not able to determine who ran these suspended accounts. Chinar Core, 15 Core, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram have temporarily suspended in the past. Stanford University for running covert operations. Very good operations. You, at least serving people, may face it to run it. You as researchers may need to study these things. Okay, now I'll shift to Balakot and after. Now, please again I repeat, this is not a operations. It's a picture of those you don't know. There's a Mirage dropping. I've used the Mirage because the Mirage was used in the strikes. This happened on 26th of February 2019, 5 years ago. And this is what the DGISPR wrote. When the moment happened at 5:12 a.m. Please note the times, very important, 26th February 2019. Air Force violated line of control. Pakistan Air Force immediately scrambled. Indian aircrafts come back. Details to follow. This is 5:12 a.m. From what we know, available information that strike was around 3:30 a.m. The planes had landed back at partly at Ambala and Adampur by the time this thing was. So this man is, I'm trying to show you this, that this is communication. Why this screenshot here? Because so far, at this till this time, India has not reacted or said anything. Has not. I don't know if we should have said something or no. That is a very large debate. This is what has happened. He again tweets around 10 a.m. Indian aircraft intrusion across LOC in Muzaffarabad sector within AJK 3-4 miles. Under post-haste withdrawal aircraft release payload which had a free fall in open area. So he affects that there was a release of payload which had a fall in open area. He claims no infrastructure got hit, no casualties, technical details and other information to follow. Again, he is setting the narrative. The picture is of Major Ghafoor, who was then the DGISPR. These screenshots are of that era, so they hold his picture. So he's, at the moment, I believe, in my opinion, he is setting the narrative. It is 10 a.m., almost 6.5 hours since we struck at Balakot, but he's the one setting the narrative and saying why no infrastructure got hit and all that. So he has actually set the narrative, in my belief. Open to debate. We reacted around 11:15 a.m. saying that this has happened and we have done whatever it happened. So whatever happened had happened and we shift to the next day. This is February 27th. This is a picture of the missing man formation flown on Air Force Day, 8th October 2019. DGISPR starts up again. It's 11:49 a.m. The air duel over Nowshera took place around 10:30 a.m., 10:35 a.m. By then, Abhinandan had been wing commander, now Group Captain Abhinandan had been shot down. Now he says, in response to PAF strikes in the morning, in response to PAF strikes, please note the first words, that PAF struck first, or tried to cross first. India, IF crossed LOC. PAF shot down 2 Indian aircrafts inside Pakistani airspace. 2. 1 aircraft fell inside AJK. AJK is, as all of you know as researchers, is what they call POK as Jammu Kashmir. while other fell inside IOK. IOK is what Pakistan calls Indian occupied. One Indian pilot arrested by troops on ground, 2 in the area. Now, this comes, which I often say this at the College of Air Warfare also, that at this point, India should have reacted that what has happened. We did not. India, I mean India, I don't mean Air Force. We did not. Now, can we have a process, a thought process there? When do we respond? This man has set a narrative that 2 on the ground. Now, what happens? I'm from the media. What happens is in such cases, whenever there is an enemy action, media, traditional media, television and the newspapers, traditional media, are on board. They do not report anything until the government says a word. We are not authorized to say anything. So, what happened in the background? General Ghafoor also announced on Twitter that he will be holding a press conference at 1:15 a.m. that day. It was not broadcast in India. It was not reported also in India. But the entire world and his aunt saw it on Twitter, what he said in Twitter. We had not reacted by that time. Even till 12, we had not, even by that, we had not reacted. We reacted at 3:15 p.m. that one pilot has been lost. Now, 2 on the ground. Now, please note, he has sent a message, Twitter is available all across the world, that 1 pilot has been arrested and 2 are in the area. Now, this means there was when he says 2 aircraft shot down, this means there was a twin-seater plane also. If there are 2 aircraft down, 3 pilots he's counting, 1 is arrested and 2 are in the area. That means there was a single pilot plane and there was a 2 pilot plane. So that means 2. So people think there are 2 planes, or are there 3 planes? The average man does not know that there are 2 pilots in a plane. Are there 2 planes or 1 plane? He has set the confusion there. This, from his side, is communication. From our side, it is lies. For the world, it is communication. We have to decide as a nation, you people as think tanks, to suggest where, at what point should India have reacted to this. That is for you people to decide. He corrects himself, the SPR. Please note the time. It is 6:19 p.m. the same day, February 17, 2019. He corrects himself, says that only 1 pilot under Pakistan Army custody, Wing Commander Abhinandan, he is being treated as per norms of military ethics. So this picture and this is being treated by him that day. So look at the difference of communication from this at 12 noon to this in 6 hours. 2 pilots are gone. So over the 2 pilots, there was nobody. He was lying. Should have we reacted? My belief, yes. We reacted at 3:15 because time is an essence. Which I gave you the first 2 examples of the Afghan war and the 71 war was for this only. Those examples can't be replicated today in today's digital world. Keep in mind, 79% of people are reading news on Androids. Examples of 71 war cannot be replicated today. Learn from history, have a new example to follow. I can't be doing what my father was doing or my grandfather was doing. No way. This building did not exist when my father was around. It should not exist. It exists. So we have to use it. Similarly, these phones exist today. They have to be used for a medium of communication. The examples I gave from 1971 war and the Afghan war are history. They were good communication at that given point of time. Not today. Today, you need to react to this as researchers. You have to find out, do we react to this at 12 noon? 10:30, we know the pilot is down. Everybody and his aunt knows, the entire MOD knows, the RAF knows. The NSA knows, everybody knows. Should have we reacted? Mr. Ghafoor, General Ghafoor, you are lying. Only 1 pilot is lost. Think about it. There has to be policy. In my belief, yes. Okay, come back to it. He corrects himself at 6:19 p.m. We're done. Now comes the role of what I say, one of the best roles of the Air Force in handling this. Now, February 28th onwards, IF briefs media on 2 operations, briefs veterans who appear on TV, get articles written on 2 ops, builds a narrative, counters misinformation. Okay. Why brief the veterans? Very important because most television channels and even newspapers quote or cite retired people. Now, those retired people, when they sit on television, should have an authentic narrative, what is to be given out. That we had only 1 pilot, a Mirage flew and he fell down, or MiG-21 flew and Abhinandan went down and he had to be taken back. And That is what it is. I have also got articles written on the two offs at that given point of time to set a narrative. They also countered misinformation largely, but was it countered? What do we face? Now I drive you to the last part of this section. IF on February 20th held a press conference outside South Block. They held out, showed a picture of the AMRAAM missile fired by the F-16 onto Indian Pakistani Air Force F-16, which fired a missile onto Indian side. Now, Pakistan, when it purchased the F-16s from the US, had some kind of an agreement of not using these air-to-air missiles on any territory, any country's territory. So we did this press conference. It was a diplomatic press conference, but done by the IAF. On the right is the former spokesperson of the IAF in the checkered coat. The sixth gentleman is just holding the missile, and the others are Patrakars and people. IAF changes the narratives. Now comes the big point. I had noticed Air Marshal R.G. Kapoor also had joined. He probably knows everything. He was then in the ops. I can't say it in as many words, but in the South Block in room number 129D, we were told by 2-3 IF people that what had happened 90 seconds over Nowshera. Now keep in mind it's a leap year. 28. It's not a leap year. 28th it ends, and first is the next day. For 28th ko hi sham ko, same day, 28th Feb ko, they brief section of the media that what was the air duel over Nowshera. 3 telling the dogfight over Nowshera, said Economic Times, 90 seconds officer detailed India and Pakistan air duel. Over in 90 seconds, officer details what is 90 seconds, why is it important. The common man has seen movies. He doesn't fly in the air to see what's there. For him, it would last 10-15 minutes. Top Gun भी 15 मिनट लगे थे यार. He would think Top Gun में तो 15 मिनट लगे थे. 90 सेकंड में. Very short. Now, the common man has to be told, right? Taxpayer money, a man has gone to fight, give his life to you for the nation. He's put his life on line. What actually happened? We Indians are poor history writers and poor history keepers. Let us be honest about it. I am very open about it. Poor history writers, very poor history keepers. 90 seconds. What does it mean? Now, this is part of the IF narrative. What exactly did Abhinandan and company do? Of course, he was not alone. He was the only one shot down. Was shot down. There were others with him. He was not alone. So, what exactly happens? This is what the IF says. Now comes the global, I say, counter information. This is the Time magazine, Bloomberg reports India never actually shot down Pakistan F-16 Kashmir clash, new report says. IF counters it immediately. This is 5th April 2019. Keep that in mind. IF counters immediately the next day. IF denies US report on F-16 says shot it down. And there you go. Washington Post, Japan Times. Japan Times says radar images prove F-16 shot down, says Indian Air Force. Washington Post says, did India shoot Pakistan F-16 in February? Question. Now, everybody is writing the same thing, but they are using different words to describe it. Somebody is saying, IF is saying, and Washington Post is questioning, did they shoot it down? So they are largely saying the same thing. Why they are doing this slide? When this happened on February 5th, Indian statement that Air Force shot down Pakistan F-16, some Washington DC based foreign policy magazine said, cited 2 US defense officials saying that never shot down. So we countered it the next day. So this gives a prime example of the IF counter, which I showed you earlier also. First counter, second, 90 seconds over Nowshera, telling what Abhinandan put his line for, in line for. Then the US claim, then again up. Now comes the next. This is September 2019. Abhinandan is back flying. IF releases this picture, and this picture gets flashed on almost all newspapers at that given point of time. Now, we cut to December 12, 2019. Then again, a report of Press Trust of India. December 12, 2019, US rebuked Pakistan. US rebuked Pakistan for F-16 misuse months after dogfight. The misuse, which I showed you, was this. Firing of the missile, any other territory. So we were, as Indians, we get very happy very quickly. Somehow we look at what I say, white man's whatever to be happy ki keh diya, start dancing. Media also start to use my friends in the television media start dancing. US rebuked Pakistan for F-16 misuse months after dogfight. Wow, everybody was like, wow, US has rebuked Pakistan. Nothing, yeah, please. 3 days later, Kristen Fair, political scientist in Georgia University, discounted the possibility that India shot down F-16. I do not question the scholarship of Ms. Kristen Fair. She is a very good scholar, knows Urdu, Persian, writes very good on India, Pakistan, and subcontinent. But Ms. Fair, I have a serious question about her. How do you know that India did not shoot an F-16? What is your scholarship to find that out? Nothing. Anybody can tell me. I've asked this question at very places. So somebody asked me that, why don't you people question her? Well, she's questioned often in Indian media that how do you know? You are a political scientist. Yes, great. You write very well. You know Urdu, Persian. You write very well on issues of Pakistan. Great author. I'm not questioning her scholarship. But how do you know that India had not shot down an F-16? Are you in that orbit? No. Can a professor teaching in Delhi University, teaching political science, know कि China के साथ अमेरिका में क्या चल रहा है? No. Latest कल क्या हुआ? Does he know? No. Is it a part of a game which Georgetown University, I'm not alleging anything, but is it part of a game that big corporates fund these universities and chairs and get their version inserted? Yes, probably. But I have no knowledge or no evidence to say that this is funded by Georgetown University, is funded by any arms company. But this is what has happened. And I take you back one slide. Just imagine this. US rebukes Pakistan, 12th December. 14th December, she says this. Now, I'm not saying that she's the US, but she's an important voice in the US. Now comes another point. This is the annual sale of Lockheed Martin. This is in $1 billion. $1 million, that is 59 billion. To be precise in numbers, that is $59 billion. Is any of these companies which are in the top 10, most of them in the US, funding Georgetown University or people like Georgetown University? Are we doing it at a very small scale, at a very infantile scale? Lockheed Martin, 59 billion sales. हमारा defense budget है almost इतना अच्छा. बाकी तो इधर-उधर. ये एक company की sale. Are these companies using their financial muscle to get their version inserted in various places? My belief, yes. Ask me for evidence. I don't have it, but I can provide circumstantial evidence. Otherwise, why would she know? Is Georgetown University funded by Lockheed Martin or any of its brands? We don't know. Georgetown University never tell. Okay, this part ends here. And role of open source at imagery and so-called imagery experts. Now, this is a gentleman called Detress on Twitter. Damon Simon. He tweeted a picture. 2019 में China का आंकड़ा. The red dots are Chinese. This is the LAC in Eastern Ladakh. And 22 में how much was China's build up? Right? Great. Well done. Thanks. India का कोई build up है कि नहीं? Does India also have a build up? So several people send him a DM. Why don't the India's build up? Why don't you tell that? By just telling this, the picture of 22, what is this man saying? He had not tweeted India's build up or India's positions at that time. What is this man saying? Is he trying to tell India or the average man in India? Army को तो पता है. Average man in India की यार इतना खतरा है. Create a noise. This is the khatra. This is the khatra you face, man. Okay? He corrects himself later and tweets this picture of Indian and Chinese positions. The blue is India, the red is Chinese. So now, if you see this picture, you think you have read in the newspapers or in the television that troops are facing each other, 70,000 troops, 80,000 troops, 90,000 troops. Now it looks, haan yaar, ye hoga. This image does not give that impression. So when he tweeted this in 2022, what was he saying? Was he acting at the behest of some country trying to sell weapons in our country? This is the threat you face from China. How serious are these satellite imagery to be taken? I think high time we decided, because I'll show you the next ones. The role of the media comes in it, but average man also comes in it. Large number of people form their opinions and basis the base of these satellite images. So this, you have seen it. Blue is India, red is China. Okay. This is what, again, the same lens we did. Border developments, village developments by Chinese. The black dots are the new villages Chinese are creating. And there are around 600 villages being created by the Chinese, the black dots. Now, if you remember, in the past 3-4 years, all television channels have done stories showing imagery and some visuals that Chinese have built these villages. Jog your memory, you'll remember. This man and this screenshot, such a screenshot or such a satellite imagery, is the basis of those news stories. Okay, China is building villages, very good. But some of us have traveled right up to the border areas. India's villages are right up to the border. Okay, they lack some infrastructure. The CDS has now ordered building infrastructure in those areas. They're building mountain tourism, battlefield tourism, whatever is happening. Things are moving very fast, especially in Arunachal Pradesh. Other areas in Himachal and Uttarakhand, they are built by road for donkey's years. Nothing to worry. China is making those villages, so it becomes khabar in India. What is this communication? You decide. In my belief, it is red flag communication. Again, I retrace my point that all this communication is happening, keep in mind, on the digital medium. You are reading it in a newspaper, but the kickoff point, the start-off point is the digital medium. This is, again, a messaging. Two examples I give of prime messaging. The Prime Minister tweeted this in November 2018. The name of the SSBN is wrong, actually. I have not changed it to screenshot. Received the crew of strategic strike nuclear submarine. It's wrong. It is SSBN carries a different name. The submarine recently returned from the first deterrence patrol, completing the establishment of the country's survivable nuclear triad. Now, these 4 lines have 3 important messages. Survival nuclear triad, and we have done the deterrence patrol. Deterrence patrol could have been done only when we had an SSBN. We were having SSNs earlier, that is without the plastic missile. The deterrence patrol is a Cold War era term, as most of you would know. So these 3 messages emerge very clearly right from the topmost man that the country now has a survival nuclear triad and done the first nuclear. This is what I say prime messaging. Now, another example of prime messaging, this is after the 2 DGMOs of India and Pakistan agreed for the ceasefire, which is still holding, February 21. So please read the last para. It was mutually agreed that in case of any issue, restraint will be exercised and the matter will be resolved through utilization of existing mechanisms. Now, this, if you read it again and again, you will find that this is a complete message. It was posted on Twitter by the DGPI. And I appreciate that, because now when this message is posted, it does not leave any scope for any ifs and buts. कि यार phone किसने करा था? लिखा हुआ क्या decision हुआ था? When you read in the newspapers next morning, they will largely have this version. But as a researcher, you are not satisfied. You want to know the exact text. They have already put out the exact text on Twitter. कि भैया ये exact text है, ये पढ़ लो. This was mutually agreed, and that is still holding as we all know. This is the visual effect, this is for the people in uniform. Now these images tell a story of their own. Mid-air refueling being done by a big plane into 2 fighter jets. Now can be no media photographer up there. This plane will be flying hundreds of feet above thousands of feet above the. So these images have to be provided by the services. And as researchers, I would urge upon you to keep on having a data bank. My laptops in my gari, I have 10 GB of just pictures of previous parts. जब से release picture है save. कल सर कोची में थे उसकी picture भी save कर रख लिया. So as researchers, you have to keep your own data banks, because as you go आगे, Google will stop access to these images. You have to have your own data banks on whatever subject you are studying, reading, doing. your data banks of pictures has to be separately logged into your own personal laptops or your servers or whatever. Now, 3 examples of pictures. This is the missing inventor Cobra. Again, this picture is not clicked by any media person. Picture provided by Indian Army. There is no access to media. So this picture is again Indian Army. This is also communication that it has been done. This is also communication that what we do. This is what has been done. And this is Cyclone Taute. Can the media photographer be there? This is out in the Arabian Sea, 100 miles out at sea. This picture has to be provided by the forces. And you people better save it as a searches with you. Because these pictures will not be there on Google searches. When you say a mid-air refueling, it will probably show a European thing. वो जो छपती है ना, आपने देखा हो कि किसी गवर्नमेंट ने इश्तेहार कंपनी ने ऐड दी और वो पिक्चर किसी और की छप गई, इसलिए होता है गूगल सर्च. गूगल सर्च में दे शो अप पिक्चर्स ऑफ देयर ओन इंटरेस्ट. इसलिए वो बार-बार वो कई एड्स में गलत आता है कि यार वो तो रोड यहाँ इंडिया के नियम में कहाँ की रोड है. जो गूगल 4 लेन हाईवे कहीं और की रोड आ रही है, आपने चेक. No, as researchers, you have to be accurate. Information has to be accurate, and the data has to be pure. By pure, I mean has to be with you. 3 examples, and I and my thing here. This is the conclusion which I say. Info ops, grab first mover advantage. I give the example that General Ghafoor said at 12 noon, and what we should have. I think we should have reacted. Jury still out. Be clear in the thoughts. What do you want to say? No ifs and buts. As I showed you, no ifs and buts in this. No ifs and buts. Very clear in his thoughts. Very clear in his thoughts also. कि क्या हुआ भाई? It is वो पीएम के पास चाय पीने नहीं गए भाई. चाय तो वो घर में ही पी लेंगे. मेम साहब के साथ गए. Establishment of countries nuclear tried in first dead and started. Of course, this communication is decided at the topmost level, so not mean, but this is decided at the level of what G1 or G2 reads this in the DGMO. G1 is reads this in the DGMO, so you will all get to read it. You know the military domain, but always ask need for help in messaging, because military is one part, but messaging is another part. Digital age, things in Google, use the media for outreach. And I end it here. Questions are open, anything good, bad, and their way.